Hello everybody and welcome to your Astroflower Pluto transition from Capricorn to Aquarius reading. We're going to be doing the collective reading at the end. We're just going to go through what Pluto is about. It should be time stamped, so if you want to just go straight to the reading, you're more than welcome to. Yes, Pluto. Interesting planet, Pluto. It was discovered in 1930. So it wasn't part of the astrological world really before that. It was given the name Pluto, which is basically the king of the underworld, the undercurrent of life, the underbelly of life, as it were. All the things that are hidden, that are in the background. And it really does play that role. It really does play its name very truly. And it does influence every single sign in its own particular way. And you will be having your individual sign readings coming up over the next few days on this channel. So it does affect everything as it goes through each sign, and it affects everybody in different ways, or each sign in different ways. So it was discovered 1930s. So when we look back over time, and that's the interesting thing, and we'll do that in a minute, we'll look back over time and see the transition between Capricorn and Aquarius, and see the sort of things that were happening in the world around us, or around the earth, as it were, which gives us an idea of the sort of feeling and the sort of energies that the Pluto brings to this new cycle. One thing I would like to add here as well is about the age of Aquarius. I'm convinced that this transition between Capricorn and Aquarius is the definitive moving into the age of Aquarius. I say this is because Pluto does finish on the 21st of January, sorry. It finally goes into Aquarius. That's pretty much the time when the sun goes into Aquarius as well. It's slightly before the sun, so it's the sun goes in first, followed by Pluto. And this transition between the Capricorn and Aquarius, I have been waiting for a long time. Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008, and that date or that year may give you an idea of the sort of things that we have been having to deal with within Capricorn over the past 12, 16 years. So it will be coming back into Capricorn in August, and we'll be leaving again in October, I think, or November or something like that. So it comes back for a short period of time. It's literally just to sort of clear out anything that's left over that's not needed for the future. And what's been happening in Capricorn, and we must understand Capricorn here. So Capricorn is an earth sign, but it has a lot of water on it. And I'll show you the Capricorn makeup on the Astroflower. There's more water in Capricorn than there is actually earth. It's one of these false signs. And all the other elements, it does have all the other elements pretty much in equilibrium between all of them. So they go between sort of 20% and 30%, differentiate between each sort of element. So Capricorn likes things when it's really traditional. It knows the routines. There's no real surprises, that sort of thing. And it's very, very stable sign more than anything. The other thing Capricorn likes as well is to understand how the earth works. And this is in terms of an element. So Capricorn is constantly looking at the mechanics in which we do things. And during Pluto through Capricorn, it's a reevaluation on permanence about how we do things. So we start doing something, it progresses nicely, and then all of a sudden it sort of stops, and we've got to go back to the beginning and recreate. And Capricorn has been recreating since 2008 perpetually. And that is coming to an end for all you Capricorns now. So it's put a lot of things bare, basically, in the world. Financially, 2008 with the bank crisis and etc., that was put whole system bare. We've created a whole new situation. We've gone through the inflation, the difficulties. We're still going through it, and I don't think we're out the other end as yet, because unfortunately, People who think they're in power don't actually organise things, really. They tend to realise where they've done wrong, and they're going to work out how not to be caught doing wrong in the future. But they still keep doing the things wrong, and that's like a bit sort of stupid, really. And Capricorn, with this sort of trying things out in the mechanics and going back and seeing over it again, it does create a lot of friction and complications, conflict and that sort of thing. Capricorn is not a conflictual sign, I wouldn't say, but if you poke the bear enough, I should imagine, I know the bear will wake up, and you will feel the full force of the goat, as it were, because Capricorn is half goat, half fish. And that's where it gets all that water aspect. That's really its emotions that run deep. And that run deep through the whole sort of system. And we saw a little bit of the resetting of the earth as well, with the volcanoes in Iceland, but also with the tsunamis that we had in Japan. And there's this whole sort of bringing things back to basics as well. There's also things to do with food, to do shortages, which I think we'll start seeing this year, but also through illnesses. Before, when Pluto was in Capricorn, there was, we'll see here, but there was a lot of things about plague and famine and so forth, and which is similar to what we've experienced in the past 4 or 5 years. We've had plagues and famines and that sort of thing that's been going on as well. Now, as it comes towards Aquarius, Capricorn almost gets more heightened, the effect of Pluto upon it. And we're in the last few days now. We're in the last few days, and Pluto is, things are really getting tight on Capricorn. And as I say, there is a moment when it will come back into Capricorn in the late summer in the northern hemisphere, late winter in the southern hemisphere. Well, it would just clear out the last bits and bobs. So I would be wary of that as we go forward. And then we're fully into the age of Aquarius. Now, we should, before we go into what's going to happen with Pluto and Aquarius, let's just understand about the age of Aquarius. If you've ever taken the time to read any sort of like religious sort of texts, the Bible, I've read the Bible, I've read the Quran, I've read the Torah, I've read, pretty much all of it, the Tibetan Book of the Dead and etc. And it's just a sort of understanding of what's going on. And when you see about Jesus, then now there's that story about Jesus, about the 2 fish and the 5 loaves. If you look at where we've come through the age of Pisces. So this is what Jesus was talking about, the 2 fish. And in that moment there, Jesus said, I will be with you at the end, to the end of time. But actually he said, I will be with you to the end of the age. There is some arguments for him saying sort of that, or that is the translation, of the text. The other thing is the 5 loaves. Now, if you look opposite Pisces, you get Virgo. Now, Virgo, she holds sheaves of wheat. She tends to have 5 sheaves of wheat. And in the old Hebrew text, the Virgo, which in Latin is Vierge, which means the virgin, which we get from Virgin Mary. The old text, it was called Bethlehem, the house of bread. So that explains it a little bit. And you've got the cardinals as well within the religious orders of Christianity, who have those hats that, that are pointed at the front and at the back, with the dip down in the middle. So it kind of goes down in a V shape, which is basically a fish head with its mouth open. So, there's lots of things. And so the other thing that was in the Bible as well is that we take into John the Baptist. Now, John the Baptist is the Aquarian character. John the Baptist is the person who gave water. And he also, from the emotions of the water that he gave, it gives you a freedom of spirit, which is the air side of it all. So John the Baptist would sort of wash you down, clear away your emotions, and allow your spirit to be free. And when we look at Aquarius in the Astroflower, The top section's air and the bottom section's water. And this is fixed as well. It's about a termination of something, the ending of something and the beginning of something. And this is where we come to the idea that at the end of your old life, now you're baptized and you have a new life. You are reborn, as it were. So this is what we get from Aquarius. That sums up Aquarius really nicely. Aquarius, which you will be able to see here, and this is what we should note as well, is that obviously, because Aquarius is right next to Capricorn, they share a lot of petals. And you can see Capricorn running through the center of Aquarius, basically. And so they share a lot of petals. So there is a transition between the two. It's not just a case of kind of going, we were doing this, get rid of all of that, now we're going to be doing that. That's not how it works. The way it works in the transition for the longer planets, such as Pluto, you get a situation when kind of going, Capricorn says, oh, I explore this is the result. What are we going to do with that result according to Aquarius? That's how it sort of works. So Aquarius here is all about humanity, all about helping one another, communication, community, that sort of thing. It's getting things together, the vibe of getting things together. It's also, this is where it shares with Capricorn, it's also very traditional, Aquarius, and it's almost matter of fact, and it's this is the way it works, and it's not any other way the way it works, and it is a completely different expression of the emotions of life, because Capricorn, as you remember, had water at its base but had earth at its surface. So Capricorns were using the emotions to explore the physical or the material side of life, and Aquarius is looking to explore the mental or the air and spiritual side of life. And this is where the tradition comes in, because Aquarians tend to be very traditional in regards to sort of religious practices and that and so forth. And I think this is what's going to come out here. And it's not going to put up with lies. It's not going to put up with masquerades, with sort of manipulation, propaganda, that sort of thing. And that's the thing that's coming to an end. And what we'll see we'll go into it in a minute, just the historical events, it's the idea of moving from war into revolution. And I've been talking about on this channel for a very long time, the evolution that we're going through, and we've been going through for the past year since Pluto started going into Aquarius back in 2023, the evolutionary process that we're going through, and I'm calling it the logical evolution. And we're coming back to, you might well say, traditional points of view, but very logical points of view, which not only serves one, but it also serves everybody, because everybody can understand it. Such as the idea is you should never kill another person or murder another person. I think it's common sense for everybody to not cause harm to another person, in the general sense. Obviously, there's going to be some people out there who disagree, but, that's fine. It's the majority, it's the community that we will be concerned about with Aquarius. So let's just have a look over the past of what was been going on since the last time we had transitions between Capricorn and Aquarius. We have to go back to 1760. We've got the George III that becomes the King of Britain. We've also got the Battle of Panipat. We've also got the Treaty of Paris after the 7 Years' Wars, so that was the organising of those sort of things. We also get the Battle of Buxar. We've got also the Stamp Act in America, which Parliament of the Great Britain sort of direct tax on the British colonies in America, which probably sparked later on the revolution, which we will see. We had the Burmese invasion of Thailand. We've got other sort of invasions going on. It's mainly marked by wars of the Balkan Confederation. That's to do with Poland and Russia. Then you have the Russian-Turkish war. But you also had James Cook sort of exploring, that sort of coming back. And we had the economical cleaning process where we've got the French East India Company, which is dissolved. You also get the Canadian, not the Canadian, the Dutch East Indian Company that also sort of fails, and then they all reform in the East Indian Company later on in life. It's a real sort of purification of the economy and how it goes. And then we also had, for example, the plague riots in Moscow in 1771, which is apparently the largest outbreak of bubonic plague in that period there, and also it just created the biggest riots in Moscow. And then we start getting a little bit more in the way of famine as well. Yeah, there we go. Check famine there. Sorry, that's been there as well. And you had several other sort of famines as well. And this ties into that sort of what happened to us at the moment over the last sort of 4 years. And then we get to the Spanish-Portuguese War in 1776-77. And this is the point, and this is the point of the changing from Capricorn to Aquarius. Now we're into things that are more like revolution. And we have the American Revolution War against the British, I think, rule in 1775 to 1783. We also get, you got the Declaration of Independence that happened in 1776. This is where we're really coming into the Aquarian times as well. And we also had the French Revolution as well. When exactly was that? I'll find it now. The French Revolution. There we go. 1789 to 1799. That's the French Revolution. We have the Liège Revolution. We had the Brabant Revolution as well. There's multitudes of sort of uprising of groups of people that we could see between the two. And we're starting to see this within the world that is around us. There is a certain type of revolution that's going on. I'm calling it an evolution, sort of logical evolution within the world. But we can see this on political scales. And it's, I don't think we're going to have any major wars. I think we might have revolutions, but I don't think we're going to have major wars more than anything else. I think it's more of a case that we're moving into this collective where they could be peaceful, silent revolutions or evolutions of what we do with what we got in our pocket, what we do with what we look at as well. This is really important. What we invest our time, our effort, our energy into. And I think all of that is going to be reassessed and changed. And in order to change it with the mechanics that Capricorn has exposed over the last 16 years, in order to change that, we need to be very creative. And I think this is what the overriding thing that's going to be coming out through Aquarius. It's going to make for a lot of creativity. And this creativity could be in social as much as it can be within the economy, within businesses, within political governance. It could even be with health and so forth. We're going to become a lot more creative as we go forward. So there you go. There's the background of all of those sort of things. We're going to go on and do the collective reading now. And don't forget about your individual sign reading, which will also be coming out this week. So let's get on with the collective. So let's get on with the reading. Overall energy here. That's a very Aquarian sort of thing, really. The coming together of two plans. And I think this is very much it. The overall energy here is talking about celebration, people getting together, community, celebration. And this is it with the Four of Wands. You've got Two of Wands on one side, Two of Wands on the other. And that's somebody's plan coming together with another person's plan. And this could be groups of people. And I think the overall energy is encouraging us to do this. Encouraging us to not go through the channels that are normally been put into place, where we can actually talk directly to one another and just sort of, no point getting into arguments. Just find people that work and that have got a similar sort of idea of you, that you can work together and etc. I think that is the most important change that's going to happen across the whole thing, and being very creative within it. This is our sort of spiritual path side, and this is our material path. So this is all about sort of spirit and emotions, and this is about sort of money, jobs, technology, that sort of thing. These are the karmic messages for this side, and this is the karmic message for this side. And this, we can sort of say that this is like the first 5 years, the second 5 years, the third 5 years, and the fourth 5 years. So the next 20 years in a way. We're going to be pulling also some Light Seers cards and some also White Witch Tarot cards as well, so we can get a full picture of what's going on. So with the karmic message here, on the spiritual side, you get the Eight of Swords. Now I get two things off of this, which is quite nice. First thing I get off of it is freedom. That we're breaking out of this prison that we have created for ourselves, which Capricorn has exposed over the past 16 years and brought the toxic ideas of when we flush things out and bring things back to the bare bone. You know, we can see the things that are not right. And we're within society, there's a lot of things that within the spirit or the emotional side of life, which is pretty toxic for the collective and pretty toxic for the individual as well. And that's one side of it. So I'm getting this freedom of breaking ourselves free. This is what's coming up on the karmic message. But at the same time as well, that's where we also meet the traditional side of Aquarius, where to do with timing, respecting one another, respecting the timing of things, of being on time, but also the respect of doing things. And this is how we do it. And there's no movement in that. And that's that whole sort of, for some people, you may feel like it's a sense of imprisonment and stuff like that, but it brings a lot of order. And this order of spirit is needed for when Pluto goes into Pisces after that, because that's when the emotions will be set free. And I think it's through traditional things and sticking to the way things work energetically. You know, I hear a lot of things in the world of energy, and I've been working as a healer for a long time, and I've seen multitudes amount of people. I see auras, and I've been dowsing, and there's lots of things to do with energy. And I've seen how the energy world has developed over the last 30 years, because that's how long I've been in it, and how things have changed. And I do see a lot of short-termism and corner-cutting ideas, which promises the universe but never actually delivers. So I think that is going to be also sort of brought to the surface and exposed, that we can't cut corners, that we have to be traditional about it in the way we work with energy and work with our spirit in the world as well. So for the first 5 years, death and rebirth, this is most definitely it. This is the beginning. This is the first 5 years. And this is all about death and rebirth. It's all about a new cycle. It's all about the age of Aquarius. This is the age of Aquarius. It's coming into action now. And things will be dead, done and dusted with, that we no longer need, because we're opening up to a whole new cycle. And that's what's coming in the first 5 years. I think it's all about the new cycle in the first 5 years, really starting to explore the logical evolution within the spiritual world and how we apply it mentally with the physical aspect, which was brought to the surface during Capricorn. And this is where Aquarius and Capricorn will work together. And the sort of mental energy of Aquarius, the new beginning, that whole John the Baptist, the whole sort of washing away your sins and allowing the new you to be born. And that's what's happening in the first 5 years. So certainly in the next 5 years, I would be trying a lot of different things. The world is going to seem to be a little bit crazy around us. It's going to be very interesting to see. In the next 5 years after that, we get the Nine of Cups. So from this new cycle here and this exploration that we're doing, this is where the freedom, we start sensing a little bit of this freedom, and using the traditional methods through energy and through spirit. This will give us that freedom. And once we start realizing and starting this sort of new cycle, in the next 5 years, so we're talking from 2029 to 34, we're going to be noticing there's a lot of different opportunities that come to the surface because of this new cycle, because we're investing in the new way, because we're exploring things and we're being incredibly creative. All of a sudden, it's going to open a lot of doors, I think, and a lot of possibilities over the coming sort of next 10 years, basically. And we're going to be able to seize upon those opportunities. And then we get the Seven of Wands. Yeah, I think this is a bit of a feedback from that as well. The Seven of Wands is about sort of self. So, although, we cleanse ourselves and then join the greater good, then we have a cleansing of the greater good, the collective. And I think this is part of this. It's not losing yourself to movements. And this is what I was talking about, the propaganda and manipulation. So not losing your common sense to fads and sort of waves of media, of waves of fashions, basically, that goes through the world. And not necessarily defending your pathway, but being sure about your pathway in a spiritual sense is really important. This is from 34 to 39, years 34 to 39. I think this is where it's going to become a lot more this is where the revolutions, I think, will become a lot more important as we go through the next sort of 10 years of discovering a lot of things and realizing, actually, if we really want to explore that Nine of Cups there, we have to stick to the path. We must know the path and live that pathway and live that spiritual well-being, that emotional sense of balance that we can apply in the rest of the world around us. And it's going to drive a lot of confidence within us as well, and a lot of strength within us as we go forward. And it will help us to certainly build a lot. And the card that wanted to fall out was the Wheel of Fortune. Now this goes from 39 to 44. This has to do with very much to do with sort of what we've learned and explored on that pathway, that sticking to that pathway, and then we're going to realize it's really starting to work. So over the next 20 years, there's a real sort of development that's going on. We've just come to coming to the end of the solar activity. I want to say something about the solar activity because Aquarius has got like 2 solar cycles within it, and we're in the height of solar cycle at the moment, where it's the most active, where we get the most sunspots and CMEs and that sort of thing, and flares. That's going to start tapering off, and I think that defines the end of a cycle and the beginning of another one. And as we go into solar minimum, which will be during this part here, when things start slowing down, getting a little bit more concrete, this is where we're going to see these opportunities that come up. And as it does start building up again, that's when it's going to rank up the energy, and it's going to rank up that whole idea of sort of strength within us and that knowing of where we should be going. And then in the height of the cycle, that's when the Wheel of Fortune can really start playing in our favor. So knowing about the solar cycles as well is very, very important. Let's just see what's going on the material front. 10 of Wands on the karmic message here. So we've got 2 cards that are very stuck and stationary on the karmic message here. And I think that's the fault of Capricorn, of that earthy energy of really getting down to the nuts and bolts of life. of what we've been doing economically, physically, sort of with laws and regulations, governance, that sort of thing. And I think we've almost sort of now, it's as if like the karmic message here is if saying, okay, we now know the basics of it all. We don't need to carry that with us. It becomes a very heavy burden that we can't move forward because of those mechanics, because of stripping everything to the bone. And I think we're starting to realize what we should be taking with us and what we shouldn't be taking with us. And I think this is, this Pluto in Aquarius is going to help strip away a lot of the burdens that we've imposed upon us for ideologies that don't really stack up. And I think that's what Capricorn brought to the surface. 9 of Wands, yes, I think this is what's put up healthy boundaries, sort of saying here within the material world in the first 5 years. So you're looking at sort of technology and governance, and also finances. I think everyone's very much wary now. Very much more wary about what we're being told, what we've been told that's right and what's wrong, that sort of thing. And I think it's bringing up these healthy boundaries that kind of sort of saying, we know when there's BS being spread about the place. You can feel it and you can see it within society as well, because not everything is going to be pointing in that one direction. There's going to be elements that are sort of saying the opposite to what we're being told by some others. And I think here is, in the first 5 years, within this new cycle that's happening, we're starting to see what is doesn't pass the acid test of our healthy boundaries. And that helps us to eliminate a lot of the weight that we've been carrying collectively going forward. And I think this liberates it. And I think this is where things are being proposed here, I feel. We'll see this with a clarification, but I think things are being proposed here. And this is where we're going to need to use our healthy boundaries in order to filter the things that are being sort of proposed to us as a collective. And this could be financial, new financial systems, or new governance systems, or new laws and regulations. And this could be all to do with the material world, could be to do with the ecology as much as to do with the economy, both sides. And I think we're going to start realizing a lot of the things that we've been told may not really be totally true. And I think with this, so if we use these healthy boundaries in a really beautiful way, in the next 5 years after it, and this ties in beautifully on the spiritual side as well, we get the King of Cups. It's almost as if like we've done that work in the background and now we're into that calmer waters because we're more sure about ourselves. We're more sure about us collectively. We're not going to get fooled again. We won't get fooled again. That is a song from The Who, from my uncle. We won't get fooled again. And I think this is because we've now got a control over our emotions in regards to the material world that is around us. And I think this is one thing that we're letting go of being emotionally led by the nose ring, basically, like cattle in a way. We've been led going forward. And I think here is like, we're going to sort of say, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to follow that just because you're emotionally, just because there's huge amounts of emotions are tied to it. Because, when you're only in emotions, then unfortunately logic cannot work. It needs both sides in order for you to have that logic. So within the body, the way energy works is actually we don't think with our brains, we think with our bodies. And at one point, your heart is going to say something and your stomach is going to say something. Now, your heart chakra or your solar plexus is going to say something. They're very polar opposites, to be honest, between those two chakras there. And as it comes to your logic, which is your sort of third eye or your crown chakra, where you have your, we all have our little inner voice or our little monkey inside us all that sort of turns around and says, okay, the heart says this, the stomach says this, therefore, logically, we should be doing this. If you just approach it with one side, you're not going to get that logic. And that's what I think the logical evolution is happening here. And this is where we really come into our strengths as we go forward. The next 5 years after that, Knight of Swords. This gives us wings to our dreams. I think this security, inner security, brings wings to our dreams. And it also unites us in a way, in a passion, in a direction, in the material world, in a way that really we've never seen before. And it doesn't necessarily, it's not a case of everybody gets a brand new PlayStation. But it's much more of a case of there's a new way of doing things. And this logical evolution that's happening is going to be one of the major drivers behind it. I used to do a lot of organic fruit and vegetables. I used to do import-export a lot of organic fruit and vegetables from Europe to the UK. And, the farmers knew how much my transport costs were, and my customers knew how much I was paying the transport and the farmers. And the farmers knew how much I was charging the clients in the UK. And everybody was to the agreement that it's got to work for everybody. It's got to work for the transporter, it's got to work for the farmer, and it's got to work for the wholesaler in the UK. And it's got to work for me because I've got to organise everything that goes in between it all. And everybody was okay with it. And it's sort of like it was, it just worked for everybody. So if there was a problem with the price, the customer didn't really have to complain because the farmer would then understand. And if their price went up, the customer would understand that the farmer can recapture him back and everything like that. And everybody got a bite of the cherry, as it were. And I think this is what this is all about. I think we're going to work into an economy where it becomes hugely transparent. I did a supermarket, an organic supermarket, and I wanted to put on the percentage of what everybody was taking at that final price. And there was a collective, there was a cooperatives, organic cooperative shops over here in France, and also sort of organic movements, organic movements over here in France. And they were not happy with what I was doing. I got a lot of pushback, a lot of complications, people, a lot of financial controls and hygiene controls. And even the people who were controlling my business said, I don't know what's going on, but someone's got a bee in their bonnet about you doing these things, and they don't want you to exist. So you're going to get a lot of problems. And I was getting these problems because people didn't want us to be transparent, because then they wouldn't be able to pretend they're being very nice and stuff like that, but making loads of money off the back of it. And it's just like, I'm a bit of a stickler for sort of being respectful in all of this. And I think that's what's coming out of that Knight of Swords. I think we're getting it now. I think in between 34 and 39, in the years 34 and 39, I think this is what this is coming together for all of these things together. And we're getting it. And it's bringing a lot of people onto a mission. And this is what this revolution or evolution could be all about. And what comes out of it? The devil. The devil will be in the detail. We will be able to see things. I think there's a certain passionate. Is there a certain thing where we're being taken for a ride? No, I don't get that. I get more of the sort of devil, sort of like... It's like someone sort of saying to the devil, I want to be rich, I want to be rich, I want to be rich. And they say, okay, you'll be rich. But in order for you to be rich, I have to, you have to lose all your family so you inherit all this money, So you're going to lose heavily because you want to be rich. That's the sort of thing I think the devil's going to be playing in. And it's going to be all about detail. And I think the smaller detail that's going to come out of it is going to drive that sort of wheel of fortune, that success, because we're going to be finally getting into the detail. We're sort of saying it's got to work for everybody here. And that's where the devil could really help us in that sort of aspect of it all. As we move into the age, into Pluto in Pisces, basically. So that's the overall story. Let's just see what's going on. Let's just do a bit of a clarification. Let's just deal out the cards here. Let's just see what's happening here on each one of these. I wanted to do that first of all, rather than pulling them individually. Just saying that they're already out here, and I'm going to pull on the other ones. In the meantime, I'd like to thank you for being part of the Astroflower, because obviously that's what the collective's all about. And just hope you get the best out of these readings. Really do. And all your support that you give this channel is absolutely beautiful. It's lovely to see. There's two cards. Do they want to come out together? Yeah, they're going to come out together. Yeah, so it's lovely to see all that support. There's also our sister channel, Cymatic TV. And I will be starting another channel, which is all to do with my healing aspect of it all. I'm going through a massive transition at the moment. And that transition will be coming to fruition in the next month, which you will be seeing here on this channel here. But yes, it's absolutely lovely to see you here, and I do thank you very much for being here. We'll just save these actually as we pull, just to sort of see if we need to sort of clarify even more. Okay, so with the Four of Wands, you get the Page of Pentacles. The Page of Pentacles, yeah, beautiful. It's all about learning that process, I think, of combining. If you imagine, this is Capricorn and that's Aquarius, and it's the marrying of the two. And the marrying of the two is understanding the cycle, the magic of life. It's a very lucky card. It creates a lot of luck. And it's a cycle that sort of lasts around about sort of usually in a mid-turn section of 9 months. But when you look at the age of, or the Pluto in a particular sign, it's very short in regards to the greater scheme of things, of the millions of years that this planet has been here, and the hundreds of thousands of years that the human species has been on this planet as well. And I think it's a learning curve of how we actually marry these things together and put them into this world in a very physical sense. And we saw this as well on the yearly reading as well for your signs. We saw about in the collective about how we're going to express the spirit in a very physical sense in this world. And I think that's what that's all about. With the Eight of Swords, you get the Six of Wands. Yes, this is it. This is all about freedom. This is all about standing in the light. It's all about recognizing how great we are as a collective, how great we are as individuals, but how fantastic we can be as a collective. And I think this is breaking out of that that fixing of things which we saw in Capricorn. Aquarius is allowing that to free and open it with as much respect with what has happened during Capricorn years. And this will bring us pure victory. It goes into the Wheel of Fortune, and that's when I think we're really going to see it flowing the most of all. With the Death and Rebirth, we get the Emperor card. What did I say about sort of like being traditional, fixing to the road and everything like that? And I think that's what that's all about. Having a control over our material empire, because that's what the Emperor does. It's very much based upon the material side. And this new cycle is about putting our spiritual and our emotional world into action in a very physical sense. It's like John the Baptist when he's baptizing. He's washing physically away with the water, as it were, but he's also washing away sort of immorally and emotionally. And now it gives us a free range, as it were, to start really applying it in life. And we are going to own it. We're going to stick as well to that traditional sort of way of doing things. And I think it's going to become very, very clear for us in that first 5 years. And then all of a sudden, we get a lot of opportunity that's coming up. And this opportunity comes through what we've done. So it's a case here of not just changing everything, as I said, and having control over that sort of this new cycle that's coming through. And as I said, you know, Aquarius and Capricorn are very much in accordance with one another. And this is taking all the good stuff from the past of what's been happening during the the bearing of the bones of the physical world through Capricorn is now bringing the good things that we can actually use in the going future and streamlining it so then we can see those opportunities within the 9 of Cups as we go to the forward. With the next years after that, so we're going from 34 to 39, years 34 to 39, with that 7 of Wands, and that's that whole sort of traditional thing, sticking to the way things work, having that confidence to do things and going ahead and doing it. That's when we can really start creating something new. That's when that 6 of Wands can really come to the fore. And that comes through in 34, 39, where we can really start manifesting a lot of things. And when we do start manifesting a lot of things, it's going to change everybody's life because we get the 3 of Cups with it. And this is where the community comes together. I think it's going to put bare to a lot of bad spiritual practices which we've seen come to the surface over the past 15 years in Capricorn. And now it's going to bring a new way of doing things. It's a real change of fortune where we're really going to be able to integrate properly for the first time energy into our lives in a very, very practical way, which is going to connect a lot of us together and make us feel at one with one another. So yeah, it does bode very well for a unified spiritual pathway that we are going down. Let's go on to the material side. With the 10 of Wands, we get the 4 of Swords. This is about grouping. It's a bit of a blessing as well. It's about the healing of the heart, and this is what I've talked about with the King of Cups there that comes out in between 29 and 34, and also those healthy boundaries as well. This here is about healing that by letting things go. And realizing that we need to change the way in which we have a system in the material world, and this could be through governance, finances, technology, and so forth as we go forward, and allowing ourselves to really create and explore without detriment to us as individuals and us as collective. It's a real coming back together, really, and it ties in beautifully between the 4 of Swords and the 4 of Wands. With the 9 of Wands, those healthy boundaries, which I think are really good, and we're going to see things for what they really are. Look at that. We get the 10 of Cups, the Knight of Swords, which we've also got at the top there, the Knight of Swords and the 10 of Cups with it. The 10 of Cups is happiness after difficulty, and the difficulty is calling out the rubbish in the world. And with those healthy boundaries, now we've come through that Capricorn stage and we're really starting to get clear with where we're going. We've come through the rain. We've come through that 2008 bank crisis and everything that followed up after it, and we will come out of the inflation at some point, and we will change in the way in which we do the economical system. And that's what that mission is all about as well. Because of that happiness, it's really drawing us to something that is so much more fulfilling than we've ever had before. And that's where the fulfillment comes in between 29 and 30. And it gives us a pure direction, gives us the 8 of Wands. This is a lot of communication here, where we can communicate because we have control over the emotions. When we don't have control over our emotions, we cannot communicate. It's just sort of extreme emotions that are very toxic in the world. And this here is about sort of clear communication. And when you have control over your emotions, it doesn't mean you don't ever show happiness or discomfort with something, but it's actually when you show it, because you have control over your emotions, it carries a lot more weight, a lot more force in the situation, basically. So we've got this new cycle that's coming up and this new mission that we go on because of this communication that comes through. And this communication, I feel as well, excuse me, residue of the cold. With this new mission that comes up, I think it comes out of this, and I'm getting technology here. It's a bit like AI. It's a bit like technological evolution, which allows for a new governance system, new system of governance, and a new system of financial system. The new system in which we engage with the environment around us and start seeing for what it really is happening in the world. And all of a sudden, with this new mission here, we get the Nine of Cups. So we get the Nine of Cups again. We've got the Ten of Cups down the bottom there, and that's a real progression of defining the beautiful opportunities within this new mission. And I think that's going to stimulate a lot of people. It's going to help us to be a lot more creative and manifesting within our spiritual path as we go forward in our energy. And it gives us a lot of opportunities to explore new systems that is happening. And I think that's what that new mission is all about. In the last few years after it, you're not going to believe what you got as a card. We got the Devil card, so the devil's in the detail. If we concentrate what is in the detail, the devil will, or this is only a card, but if we concentrate on the detail, those details are going to help us to create a whole new Wheel of Fortune. That's what's going to come out of it. We've also got the Wheel of Fortune on the spiritual side of life, which brings us all together through the Three of Cups. And on the material side of life, the devil, who is giving us that sort of idea of the detail and being very conscious about what we're creating as we go forward. That as well is also going to give us a huge Wheel of Fortune moment as we go forward. It's going to open up a lot of doors for us, and it's marrying it all together. And we've got to marry it all together collectively as we go forward. I think that's... I'm not even going to pull on the White Witch Tarot, because I think that's pretty clear in the message of what's going to be coming up over the time of Pluto into Aquarius. Don't forget, we have your individual signs readings for that Pluto transition and how that can help you develop it. We're also going to be looking into how that's been affecting you from the past, coming in from Capricorn, and how it's going to affect you going into Aquarius. Yes, I thank you very much for being here. Really do appreciate it. I will see you soon. In the meantime, don't forget, life should be fun, so please do enjoy.